Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your attendance today. We are here because of the permanent mission of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan has invited us to be here to partake in a very special panel focused on Afghan women, empowerment, and security. So you're going to hear from panelists today. So I will share with you the panelists who will introduce themselves in the context of their opening comments. And then we're going to hear from the ambassador this morning. So first of all, our panelists are going to speak to us this morning in the order that we are seated. So at my far right, we have Her Excellency, Ms. Heidi Poulan, the Ambassador of Canada. Then we have Her Excellency, Ms. Kirsti Estrasvag Andersen from Norway. Then we have His Excellency, Mr. Richard Sadlier, the Ambassador of Australia. To my left, we have Ms. Vera Kutorskaya, the Senior Counselor of the Russian Permanent Mission. Ms. Nicole Champagne, the Deputy Chief of Mission from the U.S. Permanent Mission. Then we have Ms. Sophie Boutlands de Combe, the IAEA Director of Public Information and Communications. Ms. Monica Karko, the Chief of UNIDO's Rural Entrepreneurship. And then finally, Mr. Jean-Luc Limahue from UNODC for the Division of Policy Analysis and Public Affairs. So I will serve as your moderator today. My name is Tammy Taylor. I am the Director of the International Data Center at the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, or the CTBTO as we know it here in the building. So it is my great pleasure to introduce the ambassador to you this morning, who will share with us a brief presentation. So Ambassador Brahmahil has been appointed as Ambassador of Afghanistan to Austria and as permanent representative to the international organizations of Vienna and to the US, or the OSCE. As a career diplomat, Ambassador Brahmahil has taken up positions at various departments of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Afghanistan, Chief of Staff. Following her tenure as counselor and charge d'affaires at the Afghan Embassy in Washington, D.C., she held the position of Director General to the Office of Human Rights and Women's International Affairs. Ambassador Brahmahil speaks Pashto, Dari, English, and German. She is married and she has 4 children. Ambassador Brahmahil, over to you.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to welcome the distinguished panelists here, ambassadors from the friends and allies country of Afghanistan, and also moderator to this panel, and all of you here in this room. On behalf of the government of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, to the panel, Women Empowerment in Afghanistan, which is a topic very dear and near to me.
The Embassy of Afghanistan for having organized this event on the empowerment of women in Afghanistan. I'd also like to thank very personally my friend and colleague, Kuchesta Ibrahim of Afghanistan for the invitation to participate here. You know, Kuchesta, you've done so much personally for women in Afghanistan over the years. It's a great honor to be here with you. No one could accuse me of being an expert in development work, nor specifically on the progress that has been achieved in women's empowerment through the work that's been ongoing over the last certainly 18 years. But it's certainly the case that I feel passionately about women's empowerment in general, women's equality, and the mainstreaming of these issues in all of what we do here in the UN. And so it's from that kind of perspective that I'd like to speak today and share with you a little bit of how Canada addresses these issues with our Afghan partners in the country. As a starting point, just like to observe that women's issues, women's empowerment in the broad canopy of work that has been going on in Afghanistan over almost now 2 decades is sometimes treated as though it is a boutique issue, a niche issue, a women's issue, and it's in our view none of those things. You know, women's empowerment is essential to sustainable peace, as Kuchesta has so eloquently described, but it's also a significant driver of economic growth, which is at the heart of the sustainability of the peace in that country and indeed in all of our countries.
Ambassador Anderson.
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you for the invitation to this panel, Ambassador Ragnhild. You are a true inspiration. Before I arrived in Vienna, I was back in the ministry in Oslo, working either in the Department for UN Affairs and Humanitarian Assistance, also doing work on peace and reconciliation, or in the Secretariat of the Foreign Minister, being an advisor to deputy ministers and a chief of staff to the Foreign Minister. In most of these capacities, I was able to visit Afghanistan. So I've been there several times. I'm by no means an expert, really by no means. But my first visit was in January 2002 for the Afghanistan Support Group. Norway was chairing the group at the time. And it was important for that meeting to be held in Kabul. My for now last visit was a couple of years back, accompanying the foreign minister on a visit. I met many very impressive Afghan women. And I think that what has struck me from my first to my for now last visit is the change that we now see more women taking part in meetings, in discussions, are more visible, and that is exactly the development that we would like to see.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Ambassador Ibrahim Kell, fellow panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Ambassador, thank you for convening this crucially important discussion, the themes of which are a key priority for the Australian Government. I would like to acknowledge the timely hosting of this discussion, which coincides with the International 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. My brief comments will focus on addressing 3 key questions. Firstly, why does gender equality and women's empowerment matter? Well, it matters because gender equality is a fundamental human right. It is a just cause and objective.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you very much, Excellency Ibrahim Kell, for inviting me here to join the discussion. Our countries have a long history of relations. This year we commemorate an anniversary of 100 years of diplomatic relations with Afghanistan. And today Russia is an active participant of peace reconciliation process. We're also providing comprehensive assistance to rehabilitation of Afghanistan in the humanitarian field. We provide military and security assistance. We assist in drug control and in building our national education system. We also provide scholarships for Afghan students which come to Russia for studying, and I can name quite a few areas where we very actively cooperate.
Broadly speaking, the United States aims to empower women to contribute meaningfully to addressing global challenges. For example, the United States is a proud supporter of alternative development projects in Afghanistan. And since 2016, we've committed over $20 million to supporting UNODC's efforts to promote alternative development initiatives in Afghanistan. These include initiatives like the Saffron Project, in which donors provide incentives to local farmers to shift cultivation from illicit crops like poppy to licit high-value crops such as saffron. This project helps us reduce the illicit production of opium in Afghanistan, but at the same time, it creates employment opportunities for women. According to the World Bank, women perform 80% of the production activities related to saffron cultivation.
Just as you, Madam Ambassador Ibrahim Keel, who are a symbol, really. You're a symbol of how parents can transmit this desire to be a rebel to someone, and you can transmit it to your own children, as we have seen in the beautiful pictures you shared with us. So we heard a lot about knowledge, right? Empowerment, development, and security. It all lead into what do we know?
Thank you very much, and thank you to the Embassy of Afghanistan for inviting me here to present. I have to say my previous presenter has been so dense that my mind is still on those reflections, very interesting. Afghanistan has introduced the program in 2015, so quite recently, and we have a timeline until 2021 with a little budget of approximately $400,000. But what is important is that we are introducing at the level of Ministry of Education a curricula which helps the youth at school to be trained on the key elements of becoming entrepreneurs. So here we have as a partner the Afghan Ministry of Education, and we have trained 50 teachers for the grade 10, and we have completed 3 months field test in Kabul. Total participant 487 youth, out of which 248 were girls, so almost 50%. And I think this is, I would stop here to allow also some time for questions. But I want to close on an issue of being or not being strong. I think this is one of the major stereotypes that we are facing when we work, and women that we are also serving in our technical assistance. So I guess it's a matter of being persistent. This is what I've learned. Thank you very much.
As well, all the panelists who gave an amazing overview on what has been done, needs to be done, and will be done as well in Afghanistan for the benefit of the empowerment of women. Persistence is a word which I have used in my relationship to Afghanistan. I persisted 10 years with Afghanistan, which I stayed 5 years in the country itself. Women empowerment asked my spouse, because she succeeded in bringing my 4-year-old to Kabul and to learn Farsi for a moment. He's now 11, so he forgot regretfully the Farsi language. But I'm just telling this because I saw your beautiful family ambassador on the pictures in your presentation, and it was just lovely to see him in healthy growing up, and congratulations as well with that. What I would like to talk about is not about the souvenirs of Afghanistan, beautiful country it is. I mean, I remember the annual big bushkashi in the plains or the hills close to the Tajik border. But about the realities indeed, I mean, for you to see working in a country which has to offer so much and has a potential indeed to be not only with regard to the population as well, the resources within the country available to us.
In our system still, although we are a long-standing democracy, it's very difficult to involve women in the political scene.